Uncle Jack Roddy is being inducted into the Cal Poly Rodeo Hall of Fame in November. As part of that, I got to interview many of his friends from all over the United States. Rob Smets and Jack Roddy have been friends for over 50 years. Even if you don't have a background in horses or rodeo and know nothing about it, stick with it to the end because what Rob has to say is very important and applies to all of us. Enjoy.
Well, at the time, the Cow Palace obviously was the biggest event, and that was the year end. The Cow Palace, the Salinas Rodeo, and San Jose Firefighters Rodeo was right up in there with Hayward and Redding and, all the major rodeos in California. It was as good a rodeo as there could be.
And rodeo in the past and currently, they stand for the flag, they sing the national anthem, they say a prayer.
They pray before they start, yep.
Yep. How do you feel about that?
I'm all about it. I'm all about it. Nothing gets me madder than to see somebody taking a knee, Jack was in the Marine Corps, my dad was in the Marine Corps. I learned to sing from the halls of Montezuma was the first song I ever learned to sing, and I can really see it because having lived overseas, for all the people that sit here and want to whine and bitch and moan about things here in the good old USA, if you think it's that bad, pack your bag and just go. And you find out how fast you want to be home.
Yep.
Because there is no place like home. There's a reason Guatemala, Mexico, all of those guys are coming in and waiting at that border and want here.
Yep.
Because we are the land of opportunity.
Yep.
And you can't blame them for wanting to be here, but they need to come through in the right way.
Yep.
The day I got my card signed for, so that was back when it was still RSC, Roddy, Sperrick and Cook Rodeo Company. Dad gets us all set up so that we get to go there to San Jose and fight bulls. And when it was all said and done, when Bob Cook was walking across the arena and Henson and them said, "We'll sign for your card," I'm just flabbergasted. I'm so happy. I just want to thank everybody, right? And I remember running over to Bob Cook and I shake his hand. Thank you very much, sir. Don't thank me. It was that damn Jack Roddy let you in the arena. Oh, okay, but then he goes, and then I'll see you at Lake Comanche in April, and then that was which was the first rodeo of the year. We went there to Lake Comanche and got started there, and so that first year, then I worked whatever they had, RSC had, and then Cotton kind of gave me some rodeos, and then that next year was 1978, and they had the second bullfighting contest at the Cow Palace. 1977, we sneak into the Cow Palace on the final night. Donnie Gay rides Oscar for 97 points, and Wick Peth wins the very first bullfighting contest. And we're there with all my buddies, and we're coming here next year. I got to be in this, And so that was my goal. All of 1978 was I got to make the Cow Palace.
And then after that, you won.
I won 5 Wrangler. I won the one at the Cow Palace, and then I won the world in the bullfights 5 more times.
So would you say that Jack was opened the door?
Well, if he didn't open if he wouldn't have got us in there and let us in at San Jose, who knows what would have happened.
Yeah.
I was just blessed to have the opportunity. And like I said, he sent his horse for me to ride at the Junior Grand National at the Cow Palace and the Bulldog Inn, and wherever I went, there was no having to worry about what I got on. Mercury was there, and we got on, and he took care of me, he took care of Wes Scolari, he took care of Alan Jordan. Whatever. There's one thing about it. If you've got this in you,
right,
he's got let's go.
The definition of heart is hard to explain. It's a burning in your belly. How would you describe it?
Well, the one thing you can give, you can give the knowledge, you can give the technique, you can give the fundamentals. You cannot give the heart. You can't do that. You can want it for somebody as bad, and want so many things for people. Right. We see people going in the wrong direction that we want to help them and stuff. But until they finally hit a wall, those people, and decide that, hey, I need to turn around, you can want it for them all you want. And it's the same thing with chasing a title or chasing, what makes a champion? A champion's got to be able to get up off the floor.
Yeah.
Because no matter how good you are
Yeah.
at whatever part of the sport you play, sooner or later you're going to get knocked on your ass,
Yeah.
and you've got to find out how much heart God gave you,
That's
and
right.
how bad you want to play the game. You see a lot of, and there's guys with a lot of God-given talent,
Right.
but they don't have this. As long as it's easy to smile when you're winning, huh? It's easy to smile when you're winning, but it's when you got to pick yourself up and go and wade back in there.
It's the person who can tolerate the pain and the suck the
Right.
most.
Well, just like the Bible,
Yep.
there's mountaintops and there's valleys.
Yep.
Huh? And Father always tells us, though when you walk through the valley of the shadow of death, fear no evil. I'm with you.
Yep.
He's with us in the ups and downs, and he doesn't always. And the thing about it is, he's not going to take us out of those valleys. Those valleys are for learning. And it's the same thing in our sport. You're going to go through some tough times, but you're going to learn. And the thing about it is, the guys that are fundamentally sound, they're going to come through it. The guys that got to where they started cheating and cutting corners, those little corner cutters, you get into a bad habit of starting to cut corners, then all of a sudden, when you're supposed to do something right, it's hard to depend on. It's like bullfighters throwing a fake. We put on schools, and so many of my guys, I'm really big. Wick taught me it's a lot of misdirection. And I'm really big on getting that arm out here. A lot of guys throw a really good step, but they just want to go here and they're out. Well, it works on the young stuff that hasn't really seen it, They're not a dumb animal. And pretty soon they see his trick, and they see my trick, and they see your trick. Pretty soon now they're knowing what the game is. Well, this isn't enough, but if I get a little more going here, it's more to get their weight, and a bull moves like a horse on a lead, that when he gets on this lead, he can't physically come back this way without getting this leg out. If he goes here, he's going down. So that's the whole reason of getting him over there with that misdirection. And you just got to keep moving things around and good fundamentals. Well, when guys start shortening on the fundamentals, then all of a sudden when they get to that bad bull that they really need to throw it on, they can't because they haven't been doing it. And now to believe that it's going to work when I'm in a bad situation,
Right.
when I haven't even used it in a good situation, it's hard to do that.
So are you saying that it requires 100% of the time, and that maybe life is like that also?
Yep.
That when you start cutting corners, and eventually you're going to get
in trouble. And once again, back to the book, but it talks about a straight line. Don't look to the left, don't look to the right. Keep going here, And it's tough in our sport. It's tough in our sport. We call it rodeo, but you're going from Fort Worth Stock Show to Jackson, Mississippi, to the Rodeo in Salinas, to the Cow Palace in San Francisco. I'm going from festival to festival to festival to festival, from party to party to party to party.
Yeah.
And if I don't have my goals and found myself set on where I'm going, it can get off track.
Yeah.
And especially with a little bit of bad luck, it's easy to say, hey, I need to go over here, and then you end up at the beer stand, or you are who you run with.
Yep.
And that's in anything in life.
And what you're describing, festival to festival to festival, look at any sport. If you're looking at football or soccer,
anything.
Yeah.
And it's steel sharpens steel. And if you really pay attention, the winners run with winners. They don't duck each other, and they don't try to be jealous of each other. That group of winners, that group of bulldoggers, Wagaspec and that whole group right there, that all got the gold buckles, they're all right there for each other.
Yeah.
And they're slapping each other on the back, and they're all riding the same horse. And when one rides in the box and backs in there, them other three are right there.
And what do you think about the self-confidence and being a man of integrity? How did that affect, like, John W. Jones Jr.?
John W. Jones Jr. had been a class act all his life. Been a class act all his life. There's a guy that had walked down the straight road, never looked left, never looked right. John W. Jones is a class act. You know, and Carla and there's a lady that's been in the valleys. She's been to the mountaintop and been with me when I won the world, but she's also been through 3 broken necks and not being able to make a dime and being stuck at home for a year at a time, you know, through those things and the recoveries. And when I broke it the last time, when she looked at me and said, well, what more in this game have you got to do? You know, and I was blessed. I won the world 5 times, and I worked the NFR 6 times, and I worked, you know, was voted to work the PBR finals 9 times, and you know, so it had been good.
When you talked about the mountains and the valleys and the mountains and the valleys, my husband said, you know, it says for better or worse. Well, this is for sure the worst, and
yeah.
That's what Carla experienced.
Yeah, Carla did. You know,
yeah.
she'd been through it, and she never wavered. You know, we've been this will be 31 years this June, been married, so we've been together 32 and a half years. And she's a rock. She's a rock.
Yeah.
Been my rock, that's for darn sure. And help change things around, because unfortunately, that road that I said about John W. Jones and not looking left or right, Rob Smets was all over that road. You know, and I don't get to claim the same thing, because I did partake party to party to party to party. You know, I've been there, done that, and I'm living proof that he's merciful and forgiving.
Yep.
Because I tried him pretty darn hard. But you know what? The other part of that is that you can come out the other side and things can, you know, change.
Yep.
And it's been good.
My son is an alcoholic and a drug addict and sober today, and he's been through 3 treatments. He's 21 years old. And what I want to speak about is my husband is a type 1 diabetic. No one would say to him, you know, if you just tried harder, if you just hung out with better people, you could produce insulin. No, he can't.
Right.
And there is no stigma for a person with heart disease or a person with cancer, but there is a stigma for mental health, for alcoholism, for drug addiction. And what we have seen is there's a 50% likelihood, if you have a parent, a hereditary, you have a 50% likelihood of contracting that disease.
Right. Crew who we run with, you know, it's just like the same thing as when I got saved, that I had to start getting in a different circle of people, you know, because otherwise, as you start trying to do things in the right way, you're still gonna have good days and bad days. There's gonna be, right? And you on the just wrong day that you're feeling kind of down and stuff, and one buddy sits there and says, whether it was passing you a joint or trying to pass you a straw and here do another bump, or
Yep.
you know, here have a cold beer,
Yep.
whatever your weakness is, it's there. It's going to be there, and somebody's going to try to pull you, because no matter how good a lot of people want to tell you they want to see good things happen for you, when you start climbing out of that valley, and they're all still sitting in that valley, you know, there's a reason when people go crabbing, they take a 5-gallon bucket. And those when they go crabbing, they don't ever put a lid on that 5-gallon bucket. Because once they throw the first crab in there, once they throw the second crab in, when that one starts to crawl out to freedom, that other one pulls him right back down. And that's just how it is when you get in that wrong circle of people. they're going to be there to keep pulling you back down. You know, you got to get away. And I went to a rodeo Bible camp, and the who's who of our sport, men of God, were there. Rope Myers, Strand Smith, Clay O'Brien Cooper, Jake Barnes, Cody Custer, Andy Taylor, Todd Pierce, Lynn Schalf was putting the camp on up there in Idaho. Well, Rope Myers was talking about his relationship with Jesus and God that morning. He was going back and forth to the point that he's starting to cry, right? And I'm standing over here on the side, and I've been listening to him. And I'm sitting there and I'm going, man, I want what that guy's got. And I've spent a lot of money on a lot of, pardon me, but spent a lot of money on a lot of shit. Mm-hmm. Chasing what he's got right there. Mm-hmm. And I need to do something different, you know. And I watched Rope, and I make sure whenever I share this story that I tell people this. I watched Rope walk that high above the stage. And this isn't after 3 days of being at a school and hearing story and story and story and story. This is the first morning, the first testimony. And I've been standing over there, and tears are starting to come down my face. And they invite to come up. And first guy on his knees right there was Rob Smets saying, I need whatever you guys got right here. I need this. I repented of my sins. I asked for forgiveness. And it felt like they lifted this house off my shoulders. Mm. Did I ever make a mistake again? Yeah, I did. You know, you're going to make mistakes. But at the same time, you bend your knee, you ask for forgiveness, you get up. Our Father, He came back after us because He loved us and He forgave us. You know, you have a choice. You can ask for forgiveness or you don't. But, you know, the thing about it is, there's only people with how things are going right now, you know, they want to say Buddha or this or that. But there's a lot of ways. In that book right there, it tells you there's one way there. No one gets to the Father but through me. Mm-hmm. Unless you ask Jesus Christ into your life. You can hand if or but it all you want. You ain't going. Mm-hmm. But if you ask Him into your life, He's willing to forgive you for whatever you've done. And like I said, I've done plenty that were way wrong, but I'm living proof He's merciful and forgiving.
How do you feel about that when somebody says, I'm not a sinner?
Like just with what you said, we've all sinned one way or another, you know. When even a white lie. Well, a white lie is a lie. A lie is a lie. You know, and what happens is we want to start weighing how bad your sin was against my soul. I'm not like her. Yeah. You know what I mean? Because we do, right? We want to use a judgment to try to make us look better. Well, but we, you know, what it tells us in the Bible, sin is sin. Whether you murdered somebody, whether you had an abortion, whether I got drunk, right? Drinking, don't drink to drunken. Doesn't say you can't have a drink. He said don't drink to drunkenness. Don't lose your head. Don't lose your senses. You know, He just wants us to make wise decisions. It's not like He's a party pooper. Heck, at their wedding, He turned water into wine so that they could all have some wine.
Right.
You know, I mean, it's...
How do you, when you talk with cowboys that they're larger than life, or bullfighters, or that they feel that they don't need any help? They believe that they're self-sufficient. What do you say to them?
Well, and you know what? That's one of those deals too, until they kind of get ready to listen. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. You know, till they hit the wall, and then all of a sudden they go, "Whoops! What about this?" Well, what about it? You know, how is your walk? Would you say, if Jesus was standing right here before you, have you been on the right side of the fence? Or have you been on the wrong side? Are you doing things, when we're doing things that are wrong, you can't expect good things to come from it. That old karma deal, it's going to come back and bite you, And he wants us. He wants us to be an encourager. He wants us to lift our brothers up. He wants us to be helping guys, and not doing it and being judgmental, going, well, you shouldn't have done that, We're supposed to be able to say, hey, you need some help? Come on.
Yeah.
And if anything, that hopefully by our example, which is what he's done his whole career and been so good to so many guys, by our example, we start changing.
Yeah.
And what you will know them by their walk. That's what he tells us.
Mm-hmm. And what you said is exactly right. Until somebody, whether it's alcoholism or accepting Christ, until you want it for yourself, it's between you and God. There's nothing I can say to convince you. It's going to be your choice.
Right.